For more than a century, Canada's system of residential schools separated over 150,000 First Nations, Inuit, and Métis children from their families. Residential schools were a calculated system focused on individual and cultural assimilation, or to kill the Indian in the child. The Truth and Reconciliation Commissions described the residential school system as a form of cultural genocide. Today, we recognize that this policy of assimilation was wrong and reflects a dark and shameful time in Canada's history. We also recognize that the residential school system has had a lasting and profoundly damaging impact on Indigenous people, communities, culture, and language across Canada. By acknowledging the past and educating Canadians about the experiences of Indigenous children in these schools, we will ensure that the history is never forgotten and never again will these tragedies be repeated.
I'm Janet Longclaws. I live in Long Plain First Nation. I'm a residential school survivor. I went to Brandon Indian Residential School for 5 years.
Residential boarding schools are older than Canada itself. The first school opened in the early 1830s. Concerted federal government involvement in the residential schools began in the 1880s, and the last residential school closed as recently as the late 1990s.
My father was a truck driver. He would leave before we left. He didn't want to be there when we left. And Mom was home alone. She tried to be joyful and cheerful, and she would hug us all the time.
Successive generations of families went to residential schools. The government allowed children to suffer discrimination and abuse, including malnutrition. At some schools, children were subjected to nutritional experiments.
My name is Wambadi Wakita. I come from the community called Sioux Valley. I am Dakota. I went to 2 different schools. One was called Bertle Indian Residential School. And my dad said, if you kids don't go to school, the RCMP is going to put me in jail, he said. My experience was I grew up really protected at home when I was young. My mom and dad, my grandpa, my brothers and sisters. But when I went to residential school, that's totally a different way of doing things. Eating, for instance, they practically starved you.
Many of the people and institutions who were entrusted with the care and protection of the children instead subjected them to discrimination, hardship, neglect, and emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, leaving a multi-generational legacy of pain and trauma.
In residential school, we only lived in moments where we could just stand still, be a little soldier, not look, not see, not hear, not witness anything.
Residential schools focused on assimilation, cutting the long hair of children and cutting their ties to their culture. Children were punished severely and sometimes even beaten for speaking in their language or following their traditions.
The teacher was absolutely mean. She threw chalk and brushes at us. She twisted my ear. I never seen that teacher smile once. She was always had that mean look.
Indigenous children were isolated from their homes and their communities, from the nurturing support of their parents, from their language, from their traditions, and from their cultures.
We also had to go to church. I don't know what kind of church that was, but when you went to residential school and you had to sing these strange songs and say these prayers in an English language, you know, that's quite a deal actually, to try and be somebody else and you're not. You know, we lost a lot of things. Culture. Well, language is culture. And all our songs, our ceremonies, all of those things were missed by those people who went to residential school. And you could tell that it was hurtful. Not only did they lose their culture, They also was punished by severe abuse, horrific abuse. I mean, how is it possible that we would go through something like that? And a lot of us done our best to survive from those kinds of things.
Thousands of Indigenous children died while attending residential schools. Some of these buildings still stand. The unmarked graves that scatter the country lie silent.
Our community has the Portage Indian residential schools at our Kishkimakwa Reserve near Portage Prairie. We've been working on keeping that building, restoring it as a heritage place, and it's important that we have that. Some people won't go into the building. For some of our elders, they won't go near the place, and I understand that. It's a reminder that we're still here. It's a legacy, perhaps not ours, but we can be part of it, and it's okay. Yeah.
Today, residential school survivors still carry the scars of abuse. Many of those scars have been passed down to the generations who have followed. But the survivors are also strong. They have fought hard to bring their experiences to light and continue to demand justice and accountability. This has paved the way for the reclamation of cultural traditions, relearning of languages, and healing.
Our Indian residential school experiences matter because we matter. And we need to carry on with courage and honor our culture, our languages, our families, our communities, and we can be resilient. We are still resilient. We're still here, and we will continue to be.
The Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action number 79 challenges us all to ensure the injustices of the past will never be repeated, and that the remaining effects of these injustices will be overcome through mutual respect and partnership. This call asks Canada to recognize residential schools as a central aspect of its history as a country, to never forget the harms, the history, and legacy of residential schools, and the children who paid the ultimate price. Together, we are taking a significant step forward to ensure all children know and understand the full scope of their shared history. We can never forget what the survivors endured. Through remembering these harms of the past, we are creating a world where the children of today and tomorrow are given the information they need to build a Canada free from inequality and injustice. The courage, determination, and strength of residential school survivors has given us the collective opportunity to build a better Canada.